Hey MMA fans, Cage Minds, your host Micah Frankel, back to recap and give you the results. For UFC 149, it was headlined by the interim bantamweight title fight between Urijah Faber and Renan Barao. But, you know how we do it, we're going to start off on the prelims, work our way all the way through, so we start off on Facebook. First fight was Mitch Clark versus Anton Kuividen. And this fight really came down to Clark trying to expose what he felt was a vulnerability of Kuividen in the wrestling game, but Kuividen proved to be just too strong, too big, and pushed around Clark. Kuividen ends up winning a split decision, 29-28. Two judges saw it for Kuividen. Move on now to the other Facebook fight, Antonio Carvalho versus Daniel "The Pit" Pineda. And right away, these two men came out firing. Carvalho hits a head kick on Pineda. Pineda, to his credit, jumps right back up and eats a big combination from Carvalho. Carvalho follows him to the ground, still hitting as the referee is desperately trying to get Carvalho off Pineda. Carvalho, a TKO in the first round, 1 minute and 11 seconds into the fight. That was a statement, bouncing back off of his debut loss. Now we can move on to the FX prelims from the Facebook portion of the card, and we started that off with Brian Caraway versus Mitch Gagnon, and Caraway and Gagnon had a great scrap going all around the cage, from the striking to the grappling. They had a lot of clinch work going. Gagnon kept getting the Muay Thai clinch, landing big knees to Caraway. They were having great transitions on the ground. But the stockier, more muscular body of Gagnon really started to gas out in the third round. Caraway was able to get a takedown, take the back, and get his third consecutive victory via the rear naked choke. The fight was so great it earned the Fight of the Night award. Keep going on these FX prelims. The next one was Ryan Jamo debuting versus Anthony Peros. And Ryan Jamo says hi and makes a statement in his UFC debut. A 7-second KO, landed 2 strikes, a left and then a right over the top of Peros's guard, and Peros is down. Good night. Jamo dances, does the robot, did the splits, and gets a Knockout of the Night award in his debut. Who says the light heavyweight division doesn't have any contenders for John Jones? Now we keep going on the FX prelims. Roland Delorme took on Francisco Rivera, and Rivera continuing his striking class he's been putting on in his last 2 fights, showing up Alex Soto in his return to the UFC, and then this domination of strikes to Delorme, had combinations working, leg kicks, never letting Delorme work his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, and a first round TKO, 4 minutes and 19 seconds towards the end of that first round. Francisco Rivera, wow. Last one, the main event of the FX prelims, Court McGee versus Nick the Promise Ring, a rematch of the Ultimate Fighter when Ring got a close decision victory. This fight, somewhat controversial to some people. It was based on the power of Ring versus the cumulative strikes of McGee and the pressure. As far as the pressure and being aggressive, that was Court McGee. Nick Ring, his straight left was powerful. It was damaging. It broke the nose of Court McGee. McGee was bleeding, but still undeterred, bleeding, never giving up. McGee really, in the third round, came out pressured, tripled up, I think, the amount of strikes landed from Nick Ring in the third round, chased Ring around. Ring survived this fight at home and gets a 29-28 unanimous decision across the board in a fight that I really felt was a draw. The damage that Ring imposed did get a broken nose, but Ring was gassed and running from McGee, so close fight in my opinion. Now we move on to the pay-per-view card. Chris Clements versus Matt Riddle in what the two men are promised to be a Fight of the Night candidate. Kind of went that way. The two men started striking and exchanging until Clements would land a good strike on Riddle, and then Riddle would remember he had the wrestling advantage, would get the takedowns, and then on his own will would remember that he said he was going to stand and bang, so he would give up top position, stand up, allow Clements to go back to striking until Riddle would get tagged again, shoot back in for a takedown. This happened throughout the fight until the third round. Riddle was able to get in close, grab a clinch, move on to an arm triangle, standing, a trip, a takedown, and at 2:02 of the third round, the submission of the night winner is Matthew Riddle, arm triangle, beautifully done. Moving on up that main card, next fight, Brian Ebersole versus James Head. Brian Ebersole, second fight in 3 weeks, was victorious at UFC 148, at UFC 449 versus James Head. Really, from Ebersole, he just looked tired. He wasn't himself. It was a lackluster performance. Head would try to use the guillotine. It would not work. Ebersole couldn't get in, couldn't get the grappling going. Head would land some good strikes, would nullify the takedowns. In a weird fight, in a split decision, James Head 29-28 by 2 judges beats Brian Ebersole. Next fight on the main card, Cheick Kongoi versus Shawn Jordan. This fight was a grapple fest against the fence, a clinch fest, and Joe Rogan the whole time is shouting over the commentary. I love how the ref is letting them work. Dana White later at the press conference would say, wow, Eve Levine needed to separate them two and make them fight in a weird fight where pressure and clinch strikes, and I don't know how they judged it. 2 judges see it 30-27. One saw it 30-28. I personally thought it was 30-28. Weird fight. Cheick Kongoi unanimous decision, out-veterening Shawn Jordan. And then in the co-main event, Hector Lombard versus Tim Boetsch. Tim Boetsch used a lot of leg kicks, kept his distance, got tagged a few times, but withstood that. Hector Lombard stood flat-footed, didn't come in hard. Tim Boetsch gets a split decision victory over Hector Lombard, and reveals it's revealed later on through the medicals that Tim Boetsch broke his foot. So we have no clarity to the middleweight picture, who's next for Anderson Silva, even though Tim Boetsch does get the win, stops the Hector Lombard hype train, and when Boetsch is able to return, he is definitely in that upper echelon of guys trying to get to that title fight. And now we go to the main event, Urijah Faber, Renan Barao, interim bantamweight title fight. The Nova and Yao camp had said that coming in, they were going to utilize the same strategy that Jose did versus Faber with the leg kicks. Well, Barao would go to it, would land about 20 throughout the fight, but they weren't the same damage. It wasn't the same effectiveness, but still, this fight was all about the power of Barao, him connecting on Faber, and Faber would fall 5 feet back. Faber would connect on Barao, and Barao would kind of just eat it. So, an accumulation of strikes on an accumulation of damage. Renan Barao, 2 scorecards, 49-46, 150-45. Renan Barao, unanimous decision, beats Urijah Faber and says he's ready to defend his interim bantamweight title. Dominic Cruz can get a shot when he gets back. He's ready to defend it now. Urijah Faber, back to the drawing board. This has been Cage Minds. Uncaged the Warrior Within yourself. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on the video. Leave me a comment. Thanks for watching the recap. Have a good one.